Alright, we are in lesson 2. Our objective for today is I will be able to describe the difference between factors, variables, constants, and coefficients. So be sure you fill that in. I will be able to describe the difference between factors, variables, constants, and coefficients. Okay, so first thing, a symbol, usually a letter used to represent an unknown number, is called a variable. Okay, a variable can be either x, m, a, b, c, d. Those are all examples of variable. So a variable, that value can change. A quantity whose value does not change is called a constant. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are all constant terms. Example 1 says identify the constants and variables in each expression. Alright, so my variable is my value that can change. It's represented by a letter. My variable is x. My constants are the values that their number holds constants. It does not change. Those are 6 and 3. Okay? My variable is x, which is my letter. My constants are 6 and 3, which are just the numbers. Alright, same thing here. My variables are w, y, and z. They're all of the letters. The numbers that value can change. They can represent different numbers. They can take on different values. Okay, and then my constants, those values cannot change. Those are just 71 and 28. Okay, variables are letters. Constants are going to be numbers. Alright, next thing, when two or more quantities are multiplied, the numbers that are being multiplied, you've probably heard this word before, are called the factors. Okay, two numbers are being multiplied, those are called the factors of the product. The numeric factor, including a variable, is called the coefficient. So the coefficient is the number that's being multiplied by the variable. Okay, so identify the factors and the coefficients in each expression. The factors are just all of the numbers that are being multiplied together. So your factors are -3, r, s, and t. All of those are factors. Your variables, or no, excuse me, not your variables. Your coefficient is the numeric part of that, or the number part of that. So the coefficient here is just -3. It's the number being multiplied by your variables. So your factors are all of the numbers being multiplied. Your coefficient is -3. Here you've got y over 3. Okay. Another way to rewrite this is any variable that stands by itself, there's an understood coefficient or an understood number in front of that, which is a 1. Okay. If you don't see a 1 in front of that, it's understood to be there. So another way to write this is 1/3 y, because it's 1 over 3. And then y is sort of out to the side, okay? So my factors are both 1/3 and y. My factors are 1/3 and y because 1/3 and y are being multiplied together. And then my coefficient is that number out front. The number out front here is 1/3. The reason I rewrote that as 1/3 is because there's an understood 1 in the numerator. That y is in the numerator. It's the same thing, having it in the numerator is the same thing as writing it out to the side. Those two are the same, okay? Same thing here. I don't see a number out in front of this CD, so there's an understood 1 there. So my factors, you could put a 1, but there's always an understood 1, so you don't necessarily have to put it. My factors are just C and D. Again, you could put a 1 there, but you don't have to. And then my coefficient, the number that is being multiplied by those variables is just that understood 1. So my coefficient is 1, my factors are C and D. Again, you could put the 1 in with the factors, but you do not have to. Right? On the back, parts of an expression separated by a plus or a minus, by plus or minus signs are called terms. Okay? If they're being multiplied together, like we looked at in the last part, those are called factors. If they're separated by a plus or a minus, those are called terms. So example 3 says to identify the terms in each expression. So here I see 3 terms because there are 3 different things that are being separated by a plus or minus. So term 1, term 2, and term 3. So term 1 is this 6xy. Term 2 is this 57w. And term 3 is this whole thing right here. That whole thing is one term. 24x over 5y. Okay? So anything separated by a plus or a minus sign, that's called a term. So those are your 3 different terms. I look at the second example, I see that there are 4 different terms. So I'm going to write term 1, term 2, term 3, and term 4. Okay? My first term is just m. My second term is just anything separated by this plus or this minus. My second term is 3mn. My third term is this whole thing. Okay? There's this parentheses in the denominator that shows that this whole thing is included. So just because there's a plus sign there, that doesn't mean d and 8 are 2 different terms. Because it's in parentheses, this whole thing right here is one term. So 5t over d plus 8. That whole thing is one term, and then term 4 is 9. That's all for lesson 2.